about some light exercise? Hello. There is a connection between reading culture and of a people and the development of their society. Tonight we will focus on the imperativeness of reading culture in the acquisition of knowledge. The question now is, how does Nigeria fare in this regard? Good evening and welcome to Weekend File, the place where topical issues are dissected. And now let's get down to business. Recently, a study was conducted and revealed that the average Nigerian reads less than one book per year, and only 1% of successful men and women read one non-fiction book per month. If this assertion is something to go by, then it means that about 40% of adults never read a book from cover to cover after they finished school. Literature, which is part of learning process, is now relegated to the background. This decline in reading culture among Nigerians, especially the young people, is attributed to many factors, including the offshoot of technological advancements that have brought over all changes in family, social and economic conditions. Some blame it on e-library, which has discouraged learning culture among youths who now spend better part of their time browsing the internet, engaging in social media chats characterized by bad spellings and wrong use of words. The National Education Policy of 2004 places the inculcation of permanent literacy, numeracy, and ability to communicate effectively as some of the objectives of the school system, with the library providing materials that offer more extensive, varied information than classroom study. But what are the conditions of the national and state libraries fundamental to design, implementation, and attainment of educational excellence? Educationists say there is unprecedented rise in price of books, while DVDs are becoming more available and affordable. This brings up the issue of state of affairs of book authorship and publishing subsector in Nigeria. We will put all of this into perspective as we present a fresh edition of your Weekend Companion. My name is Kirian Umayo. Join me and crew for today's edition of the show. And on this channel, the news comes first. President Muhammadu Buhari has tasked political, religious, and community leaders in Nigeria to ensure that non-indigenous in their midst are given the best of care, support, and protection desired for meaningful living across the country. This was when he received Katsina State Government delegation led by Governor Aminu Masari, as well as the Emir of Daura, Farouk Omar Farouk, on Salah homage. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who jointly received the Katsina State Government delegation as well as that of Daura Kingdom, expressed satisfaction with the peaceful Salah celebrations across Nigeria. Harmonious coexistence, he said, is critical for sustainable national development and economic prosperity. He therefore re-emphasized the need for those in leadership positions to do whatever is necessary towards discouraging messages of hate, as well as protecting well-meaning people in their communities for enhanced national unity.
That every Nigerian has a right to stay anywhere in this part of the country, and he encouraged the people to continue to receive all and sundry.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari used the opportunity to deliver to President Muhammadu Buhari messages of goodwill, support and loyalty of the people of Katsina, whom he said were highly elated with the significant improvement in his health condition.
They appreciate him, and they are more than happy that he is back on his feet and that he is trustworthy, somebody with high sense of morality and integrity leading this nation, and a product of Katsina State. You can imagine the feeling of the Katsina State people.
The Emir of Daura, Farouk Umar Farouk, reassured Nigerians that President Muhammadu Buhari has the entire country at heart and will stop at nothing towards ensuring a better future for all. From Daura in Katsina State, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed absolute confidence in the ability of the National Youth Service Corps scheme to achieve the nation's aspirations for unity, stability, and sustainable development. The president was speaking in Daura when corps members serving in the area paid him a solidarity visit. Here again is Adamu Sambo.
The corps members in their numbers line up the major road in Daura town alongside other members of the community in demonstration of support, solidarity and respectability as President Muhammadu Buhari's motorcade headed home from the Eid prayer ground. The president described as pleasing that the NYSC scheme has continued to pursue the purpose of national integration, saying the diversity of the nation's cultures remain its greatest strength.
I'm impressed with the number of NYSC that are here. Some of them have never been out of their state, say in Lagos. They come to the end of Nigeria to see different cultures in the same country and to live with them for a complete term. I'm very pleased about that.
The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, who addressed the corps members, urged them to remain vanguards of national unity and cohesion as prerequisites for development.
The president is very passionate about the NYSC because he believes that you are the glue that is holding this country together. And he keeps pointing at the NYSC as the true reflection of his wish for one united Nigeria. He has offered you one bull, 10 bags of rice, and 250,000 naira. Go and enjoy yourselves.
It has been the tradition of corps members serving in Daura Emirate to always throng the president's residence whenever he comes calling for Salah celebrations. Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Adamu. Now, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari on his recovery from the medical condition that took him abroad. A statement signed by the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, indicates that the Turkish president exchanged Eid greetings with President Buhari. Malam Shehu also noted that the forthcoming 9th summit of D8, the Organization for Economic Cooperation, holding at the end of October in Istanbul, was also discussed by the two leaders, with Mr. Erdogan extending an invitation to President Buhari for his participation. Strategy, capacity building and retraining of officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force for effective response to security challenges are major priorities of the Nigerian Air Force. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, said this while celebrating Salah with officers and men of the air component of Operation Lafia Dole in Yola. Ladi Bala reports.
The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, who took time to celebrate with men and officers of the air component of Operation Lafia Dole, said it is to give them a sense of love and boost their morale in the fight against insurgency. He commended the efforts of the men and sister security operatives at securing the territorial integrity of the nation and assured them of necessary change that will improve their operations.
We are building capacity in terms of having the required number of special forces so that those trained as special forces will take over the issue of base defense. He
reiterated the determination of the force to improve the welfare of officers and men. The commander, Nigerian Air Force, Ola Command, Commando Abdulkarim Kasim, had applauded the leadership style of the Chief of Air Staff for giving the men and officers a sense of belonging. The Chief of Air Staff, officers and men were treated to assorted sumptuous meal in the spirit of Salah celebration. In Yola, Ladibala, NTA News.
Tackling the humanitarian crisis in the northeast, accentuated by insurgency, and providing social safety nets for Nigerians are core priorities of the Buhari administration. This was part of the directive or direction of the conversation between the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, and the Holy See Ambassador to Nigeria, Archbishop Antonio Guido Filipazzi in Abuja. Gabriel Udu has that report.
The minister informed the Papal Nuncio that corruption remains a major economic challenge and government is committed to addressing it.
We're engaging with international partners to try to address those challenges, and part of that is, of course, recovering of the large sums of money that have been siphoned from the country.
The Vatican ambassador promised to foster stronger relations between Nigeria and the Vatican, and also congratulated Nigerian Muslims as they've marked Eid al-Kabir.
We wish also to the Nigerian people, and especially to the Muslim of Nigeria, to have a happy and holy feast.
The Holy See, also known as the See of Rome, is the ecclesiastical jurisdiction of the Catholic Church, the episcopal see of the Pope, and an independent sovereign entity. In Abuja, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
As part of efforts to strengthen security in the state, the Cross River State government has deployed security outfits known as the Homeland Security to strategic locations within the state capital. This development to ensure effective security of lives and property, as well as sustain Cross River State as the most peaceful state in the country, has received commendations from residents of Calabar. Oduak Etim tells us more.
The Homeland Security established by Governor Ben Ayade's led administration is to complement existing federal security agencies in the country, justifying the establishment of the Homeland Security. Governor Ayade hinted that operatives of the security outfit are positioned on every strategic point across the metropolis to sustain peace and security the state is known for.
This Homeland Security is aimed at providing neighborhood watch, vigilante patrolling, and intelligence gathering, providing support information for the police.
Residents said the measure is the right way of tackling insecurity in Cross River State to maintain its status as the peaceful and safe state in Nigeria. They affirmed that security challenges caused by miscreants are fast disappearing as a result of the 24-hour security vigilance.
Improvement is an understatement. It's a totally fresh air of relief. Trust me, I feel so safe now.
Those people that used to collecting people back and forth, I'm not seeing it again.
The bill for the non-armed bearing outfit, Homeland Security, was signed into law by Governor Ben Ayade in 2016. This was in line with the state's policy to tackle crime. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Akanem Oyoita, has called on public servants in the country to avoid any form of hate speech and continue to pray for the peace, unity, and development of the country. Mrs. Oyoita, who made the call in Abuja in her Eid al-Kabir message to federal public servants, urged them to intensify their efforts towards the full implementation of policies, programs, and the change agenda of the present administration under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. She said that for government to successfully achieve its policy of economic diversification in the country, public servants must ensure that they exhibit the highest level of efficiency, productivity, incorruptibility, and must be citizen-oriented. The head of service has stressed the need for the federal civil servants to ensure the full implementation of the recently signed executive order by the federal government. She reminded ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to ensure compliance with the recent presidential directive on the immediate resumption of the focus workshop on the operation of the executive order number 001/2007 on the promotion of transparency and efficiency in the business environment every Wednesday and Thursday as from 20th of August 2017 and shall run up to 20th September 2017 at the Public Service Institute of Nigeria. Mrs. Oyoita said failure will be construed as a willful attempt to frustrate presidential directives and shall be visited with stern reprimand, while wishing Nigerians, the federal civil servants in particular, a joyous Salah celebration. Now to politics. Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, ACPN, and Young Progressive Party, YPP, have produced standard bearers ahead of upcoming Anambra State gubernatorial elections. Momse Demiam Dati has details of the party's candidates.
The Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, which had over 100 delegates drawn from the 21 local government areas of the state, produced a consensus candidate through a voice vote.
Those who want a job, Ojiba as ACPN governorship candidate for Anambra 2017, indicate by either yes or no vote. Those who don't want to say no. So the yes have translation, sir.
They don't have anybody contesting, one person. So which means they are using consensus or voice votes.
Having served the nation through Nigerian Customs Service, I have to come out to put my leadership experience into play in Anambra State.
The primaries of the Young Progressives Party adopted option A4 system to produce a female candidate.
Mrs. Ifoma Nnameka, who stood the election unopposed as the other candidate stepped down for her, having scored the mandate of the 21 local governments here present.
I will integrate all the youths. Everybody must come in. Unemployment should be tackled.
The candidates are among many others that will contest the Anambra gubernatorial elections slated for November 18 this year.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiru-Erewa, has condemned the incessant extrajudicial killings of Nigerians living in South Africa. In a statement by her Special Assistant on Media, Abdul Rahman Balogu, the presidential aide said in spite of all diplomatic talks between Nigeria and South Africa to put an early warning signal in place, it doesn't seem to be ending. The Nigerian Union in South Africa has confirmed the killing of another member, Kingsley Ikere, at Wahid town in KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa on August 30. Now, the way of life of a nation is influenced by the percentage of its literate citizens. There is an indication that Nigeria cannot be regarded as a reading nation because majority of adults and the youths do not consider reading and continuous learning as leisure activities. Communication with words is thriving in a new format of reading online, casting doubt on whether the written medium of narration will survive the technology onslaught of technological activities now on the internet. And of course, the young adults have many reasons for what they are doing. Now, let's reason beyond the surface to dissect the issue being brought to the fore tonight on Weekend File. And up ahead, our correspondent reports. Do keep it here, and I'll be right back.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail, would all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Hey, now who they here? My name now Mr. Shortcut. I didn't mind my money. Now cheap one, I dey buy. Stand up, we say. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one kind cable for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office where near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
Availability, check.
Confidentiality. Check. Integrity. Check. Transformation in action. The 6 years of Governor Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari in Zamfara State clearly manifest good governance and foresight. In fact, transforming the agrarian state to the promised land. Welcome to Zamfara, a state being governed by a visionary and dynamic leader whose magic finger is touching every aspect of human lives. No wonder Abdulaziz Yari is being referred as agent of Buhari's change mantra. Yari is bringing development closer to the Zamfara people and the nation at large. Zamfara, the pride of the nation. This message is brought to you by Iowa Media Group.
This is the game I've been waiting for, and I get a headache. But I remembered Mom's advice.
Son, don't let anything stop you, okay?
When headache strikes, I always trust Sudrex. Because Sudrex acts fast to relieve headaches. Sudrex, win your day.
Want to buy Indomie noodles? So fast, please.
Yo.
This is not my Indomie. Please, sir, it's not Indomie. Don't call it Indomie. Sir, the taste is the difference. The difference is in the taste. That's why my brothers, my mommy, my daddy, and I all enjoy admission so very delicious Indomie noodles. The difference is the taste. Taste is the difference. Yes. Difference is in the taste. Nothing tastes like my Indomie.
Indomie noodles. Tasty nutrition, good for you.
Bayes University Abuja offers world-class education, uninterrupted academic session, and promising degrees. Bayes University Abuja is affordable and delivers quality with experienced international staff, superb facilities, overseas external examiners, and a serene academic atmosphere. We offer quality and affordable education, and students are within easy reach of their parents here at Bayes University Abuja. So learn to live at Bayes University for a brighter future. For more information, visit our website at www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng or call 081 3376 9657 or 081 3376 9658. Bayes University Abuja. Learn to live.
Welcome back to Weekend File. Studies have revealed that reading culture among Nigerians is tragically deficient when compared to other parts of the world. Promoting this exercise, experts say, would go a long way in influencing the development of the society. Oina Kaloka in this report examines the benefits of reading culture and the situation in Nigeria.
Working hard. So,
a young Nigerian reading to entertain his classmates. Reading is said to have valuable impacts on development, mental stimulation, knowledge, and memory improvement. Nigeria has been rated by the World Culture Score Index as one of the countries in the world that has the lowest reading culture. A recent survey on hours of reading per week per person showed that India is leading in reading culture with a score of 10.42 hours a week. Only 2 African countries of Egypt and South Africa were listed in the survey, with Nigeria not listed at all. Different studies have revealed that 40% of Nigerian adults never finish reading a fiction book from cover to cover before leaving school.
When last did I pick up a book and read? Yeah, it has been long when I wrote my exam.
Students are said to have read more books in the 90s than now.
I love reading when I was much younger, but now with all this stress that is good.
Experts say reasons for the dwindling reading culture is as a result of lack of budget for libraries, lack of availability of suitable reading materials, and the increased use of internet by Nigerians.
So people now believe in sharp this, and they don't like even going to research.
But the level of patronage for now
is a bit discouraging.
Findings show that Nigerians spend 193 minutes on their smartphones daily and browsing on social media.
Browsing is faster and it's easily accessible. Like if you want to read books, you have to go get a hard copy.
In reading literature, you see other people's experiences of the problems that they have had, how they've overcome them, the tragedies that happen, and the successes that happen, where happiness lies, where sadness lies.
A lot of people have this perspective that literature is just for entertainment. But in the African context, especially when you go back to the indigenous African understanding of literature, the oral literature, it goes more than just entertainment. It is a veritable tool for enlightenment, for education, for criticism, for making society a better place.
The role of the library in promoting reading culture cannot be overemphasized. Sadly, in Nigeria, research shows that most libraries established in the 70s and 80s are poorly maintained.
So once libraries are revived, reading culture is initiated again in our secondary schools.
So they cannot publish because they don't have the money to publish, and some of the publishers will not publish you unless you are a well-known author.
It's really affecting even the entire WAEC system. It's one of the things that's making them having some low grades.
But come to think of it, when was the last time you read a book, magazine or article? Does your reading habit center just around the social media? If you are one of the countless people who don't make a habit of reading regularly, you might be missing out on a number of significant benefits. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Oyinaya, for that report. And what Nigerians should be concerned about in that report is the fact that the nation is not listed at all among the reading nations of the world. Now, let me take you to Sokoto. Now, going back to the basics is one of the ways of addressing the diminishing culture of reading among Nigerians. And Muhammad Nasir in Sokoto takes a look at reading culture, especially as it concerns the youths.
Reading can be defined as the study of books, journals, newspapers, poems, or any written material. People read to acquire knowledge, understand issues that have to do with their lives as individuals or as a nation. Reading can also be to get entertained and find ways of relaxation or even research on several issues of interest.
People now are more concerned with the certificates, not with the knowledge. So if they are able to get a certificate and they get jobs, they get satisfied.
Reading has drilled from the minds of the society generally due to the fact that first, the quality of teaching in our schools have gone so low that you find children going through schooling and cannot be able to read.
In Nigeria, however, the culture of reading is gradually going into extinction. Even in educational institutions, students hardly go to the conventional libraries to read.
So that's why you find as long as people are not committed to read very, very hard, and the teachers also motivated to also motivate the students to perform, you will continue to encounter such failures.
Several factors were attributed to the diminishing culture of reading, which includes the advent of ICT, poverty, and the emphasis on paper qualification rather than knowledge. To address this issue, there is the need to go back to the basics of ensuring that qualified persons are employed.
Let's change our attitude, the government attitude toward education. Generally, the guidance and counselors should be given adequate protection funding to go to schools by school, including the NGOs, to teach these children the culture of reading.
When children are taught to learn to read and enjoy the benefits of reading, it broadens their horizon and expands their scope of life. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
And to Enugu now, Chinyere Nwoye is saying that there are well-equipped libraries in Enugu, but says that the story is not the same with other states in that zone. Now, let's get the report from Chinyere Nwoye.
National Library of Nigeria, Enugu State, which is also an electronic library, has up-to-date books and research materials, about 50 computers, as well as seasoned librarians who guide the students on how best to make use of the library for effective learning and reading for comprehension. Lack of adequate power supply is, however, a major challenge facing the use of electronic library.
Every publisher in the country
is expected to deposit to the National Library 3 copies of their publications, while a state publication is supposed to deposit 10 of their publication with us, and federal government is expected to deposit with us 25 copies of their publication with National Library.
Also, as part of efforts to revive the reading culture in students, electronic libraries have been established in about 300 public and private schools in the state.
The governor is equipping all the public secondary schools with an e-library. One of such things we did was to revive reading clubs in our schools. What we have also done in the states is to build up our school libraries.
The story is, however, different in Aba, Abia State, where the only library in that zone has been in a poor state over the years and has been a major factor militating against reading culture among students.
We have been trying our best by encouraging people to come to the library to read, by writing letters to the churches, schools.
However, due to technological advancements in the country, there are various challenges confronting reading culture, such as the social media, use of phones and other electronic equipment. A good reader is said to be a good leader. Analysts, however, believe that in making reading a habit, one is already on the path to success. In Enugu, Chineye Nwoye, NTN News.
Now, what is the role of literature and recommended textbooks in reviving the dwindling reading culture among Nigerian youths? Jane Ojukwu tells us.
Across all levels of education in Nigeria, reading is only meant for good performance in examination, as against idealism, which is a means of gaining and sustaining knowledge about a given subject. This explains the seeming reluctance to read consistently, but rather the heavy rush witnessed in libraries, few days to examination libraries, this and other factors observers noted, they contribute to the dying reading culture and its attendant implications.
So it's not like reading. Of course, it's the exam period. Everybody now starts visiting the library.
What takes the attention now is what takes social media, and this can be seen takes social media, and this in poor results takes social media.
What is the role of literature in recommended textbooks? What is the role of current Malay recommended? How can the situation be addressed? How institutions
you have in introducing books that are interesting to everybody.
Do accept apology for the overlapping audio channels in that report. Now continuing, former President, Association of Nigerian Authors and former member, editorial board of the Guardian newspapers is on standby to reappraise our topic on Weekend File. Don't go away, we'll be right back in just a moment.
It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Now, thank you for staying with us on Weekend File up till this moment. And with us in our Lagos Network Center is Odia Ofemu. He is a poet, author, writer, of course, and political analyst. Hello and welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you so much.
Very much indeed for finding time to join us on this conversation segment of Weekend File. Now, let me ask you this. Educationists had asked questions on what might have gone wrong with Nigerians when it comes to the issue of reading culture. And there seems not to be any satisfactory answer to that. Sir, could you please give us any answer to this question?
You have to consider a reading culture first in relation to the schools that exist. If people are not literate, any talk about a reading culture would not make sense. When people are being turned into literates and we are considering how to ensure they genuinely commit themselves to literacy, there are certain steps you need to take. But it is always about a society with governing institutions that encourage people to have public figures to look up to who help generate the kind of interest they have in books and in society in general. If you are a very good engineer and you write well, people always say you write like a creative writer. If you are a lawyer, a politician, an engineer, a medical doctor, and you write well, it is usually said you are writing like a creative writer. It means, therefore, that what creative writers do is at the heart of the business of developing reading culture. When people do not read what creative writers write, they lower their capacity to use language, and they therefore make it difficult for themselves to enjoy the art of reading. Reading is an art. It is something you need to acquire. Sometimes when you have acquired it, it can no longer be removed from you. But when you have not yet acquired it, that is when the crisis comes for a country. In Nigeria, we were almost developing a very fantastic reading culture until about, shall we say, 1966, when soldiers came to power and developed this habit of looking down on bookru people and making it look as if to know book is something antithetic to genuine discipline and the taking care of society. That was when we began to go down the hill in the matter of a reading culture. If we do really mean to develop a reading culture, therefore, we begin from the educational system. People must be literate in order to get into this business. But literacy is not just a matter for children. It is possible to wipe out literacy from Nigeria. In fact, I think Nigeria ought to lead an African Union protocol to ensure that countries that have no free basic education for their children are not allowed to be members of the AU. In order to be able to get there, we ourselves must develop a sound educational system which makes it possible for every Nigerian to be brought into the process of developing a proper reading culture. I would like to say that part of the way of doing it is to make sure that every Nigerian language becomes a literate language. It is an embarrassment that Chinua Achebe has been translated into up to about 36 languages in the world. And Chinua Achebe has been translated only into one Nigerian language, Yoruba. Wale Ogunyemi did that before he died. But I can tell you very many literate Yoruba people do not read Igbeseaye Okonkwo, which is the Yoruba translation of Things Fall Apart. As for Death and the King's Horseman, it was translated into Yoruba when Soyinka was 60. I can assure you, very many of the Yoruba dramatists, actors, have not heard of Iku Olokwensi, and Akinshola translated that. We need to get our people into the business of being part of the discussion, of the dialogue between the languages of the world. If our languages have not had any interaction with the languages of other countries in the world, if the languages we speak do not enjoy the beauty of Shakespeare, the greatness of Charles Dickens, and all the books we have in English, we are weakening our capacity to relate to knowledge. This business of fighting for a reading culture is about knowing how the world works and how to be part of it. Those who do not read do not become part of it. I hear a lot of people talking about social media being the problem these days. Social media is actually not the problem. It is an accessory that is being inadequately provided for the Nigerian child. I am happy that in a state like Enugu, you have a library system, and you can almost relate that directly to the good results they have in school certificate, JAMB, and the rest of it. If you provide children with the right implements, they know how to gravitate towards knowledge. Because almost every child, children are usually more brilliant than adults. They know how to gravitate towards the kind of knowledge that will help them know the way the world works. And knowing the way the world works is what literature does for you. Those who wish their societies to develop and have not fought against illiteracy and are not able to bring their people into that conversation of world languages that literature represents, well, that's where, in my view, you have a serious problem.
Thank you very much again for citing the inability of Nigerians or Nigeria as a nation to translate Chinua Achebe's work into Nigerian language. That is one crucial point to have made this evening. And again, in this era of information and knowledge-driven world, how has the decline in reading impacted the literary world in Nigeria?
First, let me say that I am not one of those who have, what shall I call it, that kind of total view of how reading culture is dying in the country. Many people may not know it. The bookshop culture in Nigeria is very bad. I mean, in the whole country, you can count only up to about three proper bookshops. And when we are discussing books, people do not think of books in relation to bookshops or in relation to libraries. It is sometimes generally presented as a matter to be resolved in one-off sessions in which people read to children or bring writers to read. The first way to go about it is to be thoroughly institutional. Schools, libraries, bookshops, and properly speaking, you cannot discuss book culture without relating to the way the publishing business in a country is handled. In Nigeria, there is no publishing business in the sense in which there used to be before the collapse. And when I say before there used to be, I would like to compare two book cities, Ibadan and Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt was recently a UNESCO approved book city. I can tell you that there's no proper bookshop in that city, no proper library, no proper theater, no publishing business that is worth talking about. And therefore, there is always a very strong temptation to compare that city with Ibadan, the only proper book city we used to have in Nigeria. And we can say it is still the only proper city that is a book city in this country. It has had proper bookshops. Many of them had gone bad, but they are returning. It has proper publishing houses. It is actually the Nigeria's prime city of publishing. Irrespective of the amount of publishing that is now taking place in Lagos, you can say that Ibadan is the father of publishing in Nigeria. And when you are discussing books, Ibadan is usually the best, the most alive city to think about. But you see, even at Ibadan, what used to be is no longer, what is no longer as good as what used to be. It is still the only place you could go to if you are genuinely looking for an attempt to create the institutional basis for a book culture. In Nigeria at the moment, you can tell that we are no longer quite a book country, because all our writers these days, if they are not published abroad, none of them, properly speaking, can live on what he or she writes. And when writers cannot live on what they write, when they do not make a living out of what they write, the tendency is that they either resort to self-publishing, which means that a book might sell only 200 copies through all the various methods that are available. And in a country of 180 million people, it is an embarrassment that when a book wins a prize, you do not sell up to 100,000 or 1 million copies. It is one of the greatest embarrassments in Nigeria. It is one spelling case that proves it, that we are not only not developing, that we are regressing, we are moving backwards. And a country that that regresses, we fail in virtually everything. I mean, when schools fail, sports will fail, politics will fail, and the necessity for children to have great public figures to relate to will die. Look, if you love your children and you see some really good performer on TV, you say, when you grow up, I want you to be better than that one, or I want you to be like that one. In Nigeria these days, it is very difficult to have wonderful professionals because of the high level of their commitment to knowledge, that you tell children, when you grow up, I want you to be like that one. Because even those who used to be so good have deteriorated in their capacity to deliver on what they really know. Many Nigerians are almost ashamed to show that they know. Well, I always tell my friends, it is for those who did not go to school to wish they were like me. Whether I have money, I do not have it, they are the losers if they don't want to relate to the way the world works. Because the way world...
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, you know, we cannot discuss a literary world, you know, without the emphasis on literature or publishing and all of that. And you've already said that we are declining when it comes to publishing. Now, there is this saying here that you know, when it comes to reading literature, that it is tied to reading literature or books written by foreigners, and today's youths do not connect, you know, with that. Now, in this connection, what is the way forward? This is my last question. I'd like you to be as brief as you can, please.
The way forward is not to abandon our schools. They are the primary basis for determining literacy. It is not only children who need to be made literate. Our adults can be made literate. All Nigerians from the age of 60 down can be made literate in 5 years if we are serious people who need development. We have the money to do it. We have the personnel on the ground if we will not allow them to be wasted on the streets.
All right. Once again, I'd like to thank our guest who reached us from the Lagos Network Center. He's Odion Femium. I would like to thank you immensely for contributing to today's edition of Weekend Fire. Thank you. All right, continuing now. As the Eid-el-Kabir celebration continues, Nigerians have been admonished to promote peaceful coexistence, unity, and respect for constituted authorities. This charge affirmed the sermon delivered during prayers at some Eid grounds. Isaac Nkuma compiled reports from our correspondents in Niger, Jigawa, Imo, and Abia states.
Bida, the 2-rakat prayer, was led by the chief imam, Sheikh Adamu Yakatu, who urged Muslim faithful to put Allah first in all they do, as every soul shall give account on Judgment Day. He also appealed for continuous prayers for sustained peace, unity and progress of the country. The Etsunupe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, al-Haji Yahya Abubakar, while addressing the people, said government at all levels require the support of every Nigerian to succeed.
Our urge now is to please guard against all these excesses. They should obey their parents and they should behave decently so they'll be able to lead and then also live very, very peacefully and progress.
From Duse, Jigawa State, Habib Hussein reports that the chief imam, Abubakar Sani, in his sermon after the 2-rakat prayers, urged Muslims to have the fear of Allah in all of their dealings, while admonishing the youths to shun vices capable of damaging their reputation. The acting governor, Ibrahim Hassan Hadija, cautioned the people to be law-abiding and avoid utterances that might cause disaffection and disintegration. Emir of Dutse, Alhaji Nuhu Mohammed Sanusi, appealed to Nigerians to pray for the success of the country and its leaders to achieve the diversification of the economy. The Salah festivity in Dutse featured a mini Daba. In Aba, Abia State, thousands of Muslim faithful gathered at the Eid ground to thank Allah for his mercies and love. Chief Imam, Abbas Central Mosque, Alhaji Idris Bashir, in his sermon, urged Nigerians to embrace peace and unite to move the nation forward, just as others encouraged imbibing the spirit of humility and obedience as exhibited by Prophet Ibrahim.
We are calling on the Nigerians to join hands together with the government today, so that the peace and understanding to be put in place.
In Owerri, Imo State, the Deputy Imam, Alhaji Bello Abdullahi, urged Muslim faithful to ensure peaceful coexistence, noting that Eid al-Kabir is a time to show love to the needy and people from other religions as directed by Allah. And from outside the shores of Nigeria, Muslims have been charged to follow in the footsteps of Prophet Ibrahim Muhammad by obeying the injunction of Allah in eschewing injustice, corruption and other ills that truncate peace and development. Bilkisu Abdurazak Odoye reports that Islamic clerics gave this charge during the Eid al-Kabir celebration in London.
And that's as you can come out with that compiled reports from our correspondent. Now, let's take another break.
Osita from Port Harcourt. Yes! It's amazing, man. Thank you. Stanley Mary. Umaru. Ngozi. You've just won 1 million naira. Well done. You've just won 2 million naira. You were absolutely right.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, in collaboration with the University of Lagos, invite application from suitable candidates for admission into the PGDPA 2017-2018 session, course title Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration. Applicants with the following qualifications should apply: first degree or higher national diploma from recognized universities or polytechnics, professional qualifications such as ACA, ACCA, ACIS or other equivalents. Applicants from the Armed Forces with PSC, Past Staff College or its equivalent, post-course diploma holders in public administration from recognized universities. Date, October 2017 to June 2018. Venue, Ascon Topo Badagry, Lagos. Form processing fee, 5,000 naira payable at any commercial bank. Account name, Ascon E-Collection. Account number 023-005-586-1019. For inquiries, please contact Dr. Abdul Haruna, Head of Department on 00-630-50788 or JB Aremu, Course Registrar on 00-337-03167. You can also visit www.ascon.gov.ng. Announcer, Director General, Ascon.
Sports now. The Super Eagles' superlative performance on Friday against the five-time African champions, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, still remains the topic for football lovers as they call for a repeat in the return leg in Yaoundé come Monday. Adiola Mokivi has more on Sports Update.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria no doubt made a mincemeat of the